spend my nights at the ballroom. There's no world beyond the love I've known. But you rescued me from reaching for the bottom and brought me back. Yeah, too far gone. Oh, that's me. Tennessee whiskey. You're as sweet as strawberry wine. You're as warm as a glass of brandy. Honey, I stay strong on your love all the time. I've looked for love in all the same old places. Found the bottom of the bottle's always dry. But when you poured out your heart, I didn't waste it. 'Cause there's nothing like your love to get me high. And you're as sweet as Tennessee whiskey. You're as sweet as strawberry wine. You're as warm as a glass of brandy. Honey, I stay strong on your love all the time. Tennessee whiskey. You're as sweet as strawberry wine. You're as warm as a glass of brandy. Honey, I stay strong on your love all the time.
Hey, y'all, say the words if you know it. Say the words if you know it.
Tennessee whiskey. Tennessee whiskey. You're as sweet.
Hey,
Tennessee whiskey.
tell them again.
Tennessee whiskey. Tennessee whiskey.
What? Previously on Ready to Die.
What's up? I want to appreciate y'all putting up, rocking out with the kids.
Never had a lot, this is all I need.
Yeah.
Never cared until it's all I need. Niggas turned their back on me for no good reason. Loyalty is priceless and it's all I need. Can't burn a bridge just to light my way. Lot of 42 on the flights I'm taking. Pouring out my soul and it might sound crazy. Lot of falling outs help me build foundation. Never had a lot, this is all I need. People never care until it's all I be. Niggas turn their back on me for no good reason. Never had a lot, this is all I need. Lost individuals is all I see. Grab the top spotlight, part of my reach. Woke up one day and it was all on me. If it comes down, it's gonna fall on me. Lot of 42 on the flights I'm taking. Long way down from the heights I'm chasing. Just touched down, I was lights out in Vegas. Girls checking in, cause my lifestyle dangerous. Hard to tell people that I'm all out of favors. Call me for songs or they call me for paper. Turning off my phone for the night now, baby. Pouring out my soul and it might sound crazy. Some of my niggas don't love me. We should sit down before shit turns ugly. We should sit down since you said things about me. Never had a lot, this is all I need. People never care until it's all I be. Niggas turn their back on me for no good reason. Loyalty is priceless and it's all I need. Can't burn a bridge just to light my way. Lot of 42 on the flights I'm taking. Pouring out my soul and it might sound crazy. Lot of falling outs have me build foundation. Never had a lot, this is all I need. People never care until it's all I be. Niggas turn their back on me for no good reason.
Niggas want to kill me and y'all still with them. Nigga, y'all chill with them. And y'all wonder why we not friends. Best thing I can do is not build with you. When I can destroy you, that takes some fucking discipline. I can send a team to come drill you. I got $1 billion or 2, and I know where the fuck you live. Niggas gotta chill with talking gangster. You should just thank us. Humble yourselves a little bit. This ain't the same Sean that you knew once. I don't shine shoes, this ain't what you want. All that back and forth on the internet. Nigga, we don't tennis that. Y'all gotta do something. Only thing you expect now is violence. Anything besides this, we playing violence. I'm public enemy. Niggas want to kill me and y'all want me to be friendly. Niggas want sympathy after they want to end me. Be those closest to it, be the very ones to envy. Shout out to the family. I don't want no friends no more, not many understand me. Everybody wants something. You know the price of everything, but the value of nothing. Everybody something. You know the price of everything, but the value of nothing. Wow.
People never care until it's all I be.
Yeah.
Niggas turn their back on me for no good reason.
No good
Loyalty
reason.
is priceless and it's all I need. Can't burn a bridge just to light my way. Lot of 42 on the flights I'm taking. Pouring up my soul and it might sound crazy. Lot of falling out of the build foundation. Never had a lot, this is all I need. People never care until it's all I be. Niggas turn their back on me for no good reason.
Turn up one time. But how y'all feeling out there, man? I want to appreciate y'all pulling up, man. Let me go finish getting it together. Go finish putting these cones together, you understand me? So we can go long and strong, you dig what I mean?
Yeah.
Turn this bitch up there, man. Jump on that like button, man. Share the video.
Hey,
We rocking that.
look. I wish everyone would tell me exactly what they need from me. The first second they speak to me, I'm not with all the secrecy, secretly beefing me. Behind closed doors, they're playing it peacefully for the streets to see. My nigga have some decency. Don't move like a puto. Could at least keep it a buck like Antetokounmpo. I made north of the border like Vito Rizzuto. Throwing parties in Miami, they loving us mucho. With the whole ratio, I'm like David Caruso. There's a mass shortage of people giving me kudos. I've been doing this since T-Pain was pouring us Nouveau. You tell them I run the country, they'll say Trudeau. Poppy and Chulo, Gripper and Kulo. And I got the flows, niggas still like boot toes. You boys
Ain't you history hunter in the building?
let me
What's
take
up,
a rap
OG?
for the cats for the ghost shit while you
Drugs in the
finding all of the loopholes. You niggas move too cold.
Boy, you can't
See the
be
white
smooth,
collection,
Shan
that's
Joy.
who I got time because of the Ruby Rose two-tone. Or switch it to the one I call RP Nipsey because I swear to God the bezel got 60 of them blue stones. Maybe I'm getting too stoned. Calicut them all before my tombstone. Here lies a nigga that never lied in his new song or any of his old songs. They sing them shits like folk songs. Kumbaya, boombaye. Know that I'll stay on me. Bad bitches trying to come through and lay on me. Trying to get the Earl Grey on me. Yeah. But I ain't really into talking names. Only two you getting from me is one for the walk of shame. Heart is on my sleeve and my body is in the Hall of Fame. High fashion and my life is full of climaxes. And my wishes come true without blowing eyelashes. Up at Brown Crib, fishbowl, wine glasses. That's how we passing time, 100,000 on the line. At the table, praying banker shows a natural line. It never happens half the time. I lose a night, it's still a vibe. That's the things I accept. You over there in denial, we not neck and neck. It's been a lot of years since we seen you coming correct. Man, fuck her respectfully, I just want my respect. They try to label me mean, I say what I mean. People that could have stayed on the team, they played in between. Clouds is hanging over you now, cause I'm reigning supreme. Some of these niggas say
drop some flames in the chat, man. Where the flames at? Say, man, election night, man. We got that smoke tonight.
Told y'all made me straight for their head, not in.
We got that smoke tonight.
I don't give a fuck about who designing your sneakers and tees. Have somebody put you on a building, you play with my seed. Trust me, there's some shit you really gotta come see to believe. That's why your people not believers, they all leaving you. That's why you buying into the hype that the press feeding you. You know the fourth level of jealousy's called media. Isn't that an ironic revelation? Get that address to your driver, make it your destination instead of just a post out of desperation. It's me reaching the deepest state of my meditation. Why you over there trying to impress the nation? Mine's running wild with the speculation. Why the fuck we peacemaking doing the explanations if we just gonna be right back in that bitch without hesitation? But let me digress on behalf of the association. I'll play it cool with you, Denmark, a nigga like Copenhagen. See, they getting loose with the line like open cages. In a La Ferrari, my emotions racing. Dance, not a condo, ocean bathing. Niggas texting bro, but we are not in no close relation. I was down to get these niggas credit for holding payment. Somehow I'm the greatest in the game, to my own amazement. The greatest in the world, there's no debating.
No
Boys got
debate.
to will me to defeat like we rollerblading. Far as the Drake era, man, we in the golden ages. Look at the total wages and look at the heroes falling for grace in their older ages. If we talking top three, then you been sliding the third like stolen bases. Toss around rollies with the frozen faces. They used to tell me back in the day, boy, you going places. Never understood why I could really take it.
Yeah. Y'all ready to turn up? Y'all ready to turn up in this motherfucker? Y'all know what we came here for, man. Let's go and get to it. Let me get my shit together. We about to start after this. Go get subscribed to the BCU website if you're not over there. Take this time, go subscribe. We about to catch a vibe. Let's go.
Baby, I'm on the way. Baby, I'm on the way. I'm gonna put it on work, yeah. She said, you don't know what's good to me. The way you make me feel can be explained. See, it's the rushing of the love that be between us can be explained. See, when I hit that spot, I know where to go. Hit the start button when you say so. And baby, get ready, let the love juice drop. I want you to holler when you want me to stop. Stop, stop.
Hey, turn this motherfucker up. Where them wild Indians at? Where them Aborigines of America at? Yeah, that's how we rock. You understand me? This is our shit right here. You feel it all in your soul, goddamn.
It's any rushing of the love with you
Peace. What's up with it? Turn up one time. How y'all feeling out there, man? On this Sunday. Hope y'all been having a blessed day so far. You dig what I mean? Cool day, man. It's hot. It's hot than a motherfucker outside, man. It's hot than a motherfucker out there, man. But man, we here, man. It's today. You feel me? We gonna deal with this black Indian cowboys. We gonna have fun with it. We try to get creative with the history, bring more interest and more ears to it. You feel me? And highlight some very important parts of our history. You know what I mean? Taking back our legacy one build at a time. You dig what I mean? And so, when we come into an era, when you think about it, let's just say culture. When you think about a time when we had a representation of our culture. You feel me? What was our culture? They would tell us slavery. In the back of my mind, I used to say, "Well, damn, I wonder what slaves used to dress like. I wonder what slaves used to wear and shit." You feel me? And I couldn't really put an outfit together for this nigga. You hear me? I was trying to get it in my mind. I couldn't really put an outfit together for this young man. Nah, but on a serious note, it's a large piece of our history missing. A lot of us, we still have pictures of our ancestors, shout out to the ones that do, and much success in your journey. Those who haven't as of yet, we got to keep digging. It's an everyday fight. You know what I mean, to restore our legacy. That's why y'all need to come pull up every Wednesday for genealogy on BCU, man, and get it together, man. I know genealogy not a cool thing. It ain't cool to have your gene. If it was, we wouldn't have a lot of brainwashing motherfuckers out here. The most effective way in restoring your legacy and finding itself is through genealogy. And that's what makes it the most hardest, People don't want to do it. That shit, they're hard work, but we have to build the minds up of the people, man. This is our only way out. And so, when everybody go home, we still got to be here. You know what I mean? And like I said, much success to everybody in their journey on that, man. Unlocking, the real you. Feel me? That's when you really win. That's when you really win, man. But even when you're looking for the presence of what they call a black Indian, a black culture, everything that they point at black culture, we find out is Indian culture. You know, all the places that these people are living is, you know, named after the tribes that were there, the people that were there, the chiefs, you know, so on and so forth. You know, this culture that was built raising cattle. You know, nowhere on the planet that you have better people who tend to the agriculture like us. You know, they have a lot of, they speak about a lot of things in Egypt and Africa and these different things, but I mean, they can only go so far with what they had. You feel me? You fucking around over here in America, we got abundance. We got some of everything. Ain't nobody, you know, we put our resume up next to anybody's shit. You understand me? We can get in the kitchen and put our menu up against any. It's not even a, you know, putting our menu up against something else anywhere. You know, for as medicine or anything, man. And shout out to our ancestors. You know what I mean, for being on top, man. And we got to keep it there. Looking for that culture, man. You know, one would look for a, you know, maybe a bow and arrow, maybe a feather. You dig what I mean? Motherfucking face paint. Yeah, nah, it's some real shit. But I say, look at the cowboy, man. Look at the cowboy. And we're gonna take a trip down memory lane. We're gonna go rock with the ancestors. I'm gonna tell you right now, though, man, you're gonna have to be laced up. We finna do some walking, you hear me? We finna do some motherfucking me walking, man. Shout out to Florida. We on the way to Florida tonight, man. Got to. We're gonna start this bitch out from Florida, nigga. We're gonna make our way down to Indian territory. That's that missing piece right there. You know, this story don't get told. Man, you know, there's so much of our history in it. And sad part in it as well that unfortunately continues today. You know what they call black on black violence. When you talk about black on black violence, it was at the height, the cocaine era, the heroin era. This shit here made that shit laughable. That's how bad it was. After the Indian Removal Act, you have to understand you had one side of the Mississippi. You about to relocate one half of Mississippi to the other half of the Mississippi. And that's a problem. That's a problem. You know, we find a lot of people on the Dawes Road and land grants and things of this nature that come with it. Never even understanding that this is somebody's land. That some of our ancestors relocated to. And participated in removing the people of their land. When I say black on black violence, was at an all-time high. Welcome to the Wild Wild West. All right, man, we gonna turn up, man. I'm over there on Zoom. Let me see what's going on. Who in the building? What's up with it, Andrew? Charles, Vaughn, and Digitus. Chief Kokomo. What's up with it, Yardra? Whirling Thunder in this motherfucker. Blazer 71, my nigga. Fired up. Otis Brown, I see you, homie. That boy from Florida say, man, we on the way down there, man. We on the way to Florida. Florida Trees in the building. Joe Jack, Louisiana in the building. I'm born here. Represent VA in a major way. What's up with it, OG? Mark Evans, I see you, family. Texas in the building. Kerry Bay, man. Shout out to Kerry Bay. I just seen Kerry Bay today, man. Down here in Houston, man. Unfortunately, they had to come down here, man. You know, the situation in Louisiana. I know we dealing with a lot of weather issues across the country right now, man. You know, down here, living down here, man, it's something you get used to. Yeah, I mean, shit, I've been dealing with goddamn hurricanes, and I'm talking about shit that relocate you. Big migrations. Yeah, but shout out to Kerry Bay, man. Pulled up on them day and age time, man. Got to meet him. You know, I think that's our second time bumping into each other, though, in the real way. Yanni Versatile, what's up with it? The versatility. What they say, it's the versatility for me. It's the versatility for me, goddamn. Gulf Coast Scalper in the building. What up, though? Ancient History Hunter, the OG in the building. Yeti Black. Shan Joy TV in a major way. Ohio. What up, though? Ohio player in the building. Sylvia Love Jones representing that Oklahoma Indian Territory. We on the way out there to Indian Territory today. And I'm going to tell y'all niggas crazy. You better get a bulletproof. Man, I'm going to tell the white folks, say, you know what? Fuck this. Ain't nobody better not touch no more liquor around this motherfucker. I better not see you motherfucker better not get another. I better not see another motherfucker walk around here. You better not get nobody no liquor around here. Them niggas on that motherfucking liquor. I remember the Pan-Africans had a story. They say that on Sundays, the slave master would he would force you to drink liquor. You know, drop me some flames in the chat if y'all ever heard that one, though. They say that the slave master would force you to drink liquor on Sundays. Yeah. And they had to ban the drum and all this shit. Yeah, another Pan-African story. Anyway, yeah, out there in Indian Territory, they said they ain't want none of you Indians on their liquor. You get to talking about niggas owe you money, and you gotta take care of this and that, and you gotta look for a motherfucker. And, you know, so y'all used to hang out in saloons and shit back then. Yeah, you know, they call them the trap today. They call them the trap today or the corner stuff. I be seeing you niggas out there on them games. Y'all know they got them little games. I don't gamble. I'm the worst gambler, goddamn. I got a saying, I ain't trying to win your money, and I damn sure ain't gonna let you win mine. I don't do no gambling. Now that wild Indian, you know, I can get out there, but I'd rather not. Hey, I'll give you a quick story, man. I remember we was on the way, man. It was a club called the Players Club. It was a strip club called the Players Club in Houston. Out there on the Southwest. And man, pull up, man. I got 3 females with me during my homegirl. We pull up to the dice game. We on the Northwest side. You know what we need to go. Bro, it just ended up a bad night for me, man. You know, but no more gambling for this wild Indian, goddamn. But you wild Indian, y'all like to gamble. Y'all keep dice on. Your dice come from America. You niggas know all the tricks in the trade. But y'all like that poker. My family, let me tell you something. If y'all seen my old school videos, then y'all know that my house was the gambling house. my mama had a lot of girl cousins. They like cards. Y'all know what's up with you Indians. Y'all like to play cards. Y'all on them spades. Y'all say man Jack. And y'all do not stop. I mean, all the way to the break of dawn. To the break of dawn, they in there, man. They got them tables out, man. They on them goddamn cards. They know Tomp. They know every goddamn pity pad. You hear me? say it. Yeah, man. And you know that wild Indian, y'all hang out there in the bar and get drunk. You know. See, back then they didn't have clubs. Today they call them hole in the walls. Well, you know, it's like a juke joint. You feel me? You know, little space. It don't matter. You walk in, you see the whole club. You feel me? We call them either a hole in the wall. I can't think of the other name. It's another name for it. But anyway, man, they got to come to me. But they also had the brothels. You hear me? They had the brothels. You niggas in that bitch trapping. That's where you get your strip club and all this type of shit. That's where you get your fans only. That was the fans only before they had the fans only. Shout out to them fans. No, I don't know how to work the site. Don't. I had a fans only account. They kicked me out that motherfucker because y'all went signing up, goddamn. I told y'all them folks email me and say if I don't get my views up on this fans only, they gonna delete my account. And I said, damn man. They called me back. They said, final notice, goddamn. Y'all ain't gonna sign up and click that goddamn link, lady. Turn up one time with this motherfucker. Now, so yeah, man, they was on the cards and they was gambling, man. And back then, I'm gonna tell you something. See all this internet shit, niggas can you had to stand on your shit. Nigga call you a yellow belly, a motherfucking yellow belly cow. Yeah, nigga say you're yellow belly, they get to taking something. Let me tell you, if you like the Indian mob ties, well, this is Indian mob ties on steroids, man. Whole lot of history mixed in, man, and I think we can go ahead on and rock out. I think we can go ahead and rock out, man. Let me set my screen. Hold on. Let me set the mode. I gotta download this PDF. Let me make it a PDF. Let's do this while we do that. Say, man, if they told you that your ancestors wouldn't shit and they couldn't fight, let me tell you something. we about to go through the. We about to go through the.
Don't wait till I up and disappear, oh no. Ahead of my time and it's clear. You still ain't noticed the dime and the gym, oh no. I leave my heart and everybody know that. The passion I'm having every moment. Yeah, this ain't for sure, y'all. I give my heart to the last one. Roses. Give me my roses while I'm here. Don't wait till I up and disappear, oh no. Ahead of my time and it's clear. You still ain't noticed the dime and the gym, oh no. I leave my heart and everybody know that. The passion I'm having every moment. Yeah, this ain't for sure, y'all. I give my heart to the last one. Roses.
That's a big point. Hey, y'all, hop over on the Zoom. Y'all go, if y'all click, it's free to sign up on the site. You gotta sign up on the site. Hold on, anybody but the long. You sign up on the site, then you get the link. Go over there and hit the link. You gotta be signed up though. Go over there and hit the link. We're gonna run through this here. After this video over with, we're gonna start. We're gonna move over to Zoom. So if y'all not over there, somebody can drop the BCU link down there. I don't give a damn if it's two of us go over there, nigga. It's gonna be two of we finna get this work in. So can one of the mods drop the link to where we going and yeah, after this here, after we run through this here. We're gonna turn up. We're gonna go and turn up. Black Indian Cowboy. Let's rock.
Long Range and Roy Rogers. And kids now are beginning to know the history.
Cowboys have come from a long way.
You said at the beginning, the rodeo is the only reminder of the early West that we have left. And parts of the rodeo were invented by the black cowboys.
We wanted to read them all. And I worked, and after I got the rodeo arena, I said, well, I need the rodeo stock. I bought the rodeo stock. And I take it in and take them out to different places and rent them out. So, we have to shoot. So that was my way of life.
In 1866, shortly after the end of the Civil War, the United States Congress approved the creation of 2 African-American cavalry and 2 infantry regiments. These soldiers.
Trees, you say you can't get in the zone? You can't get in there?
You want to be nothing but a cowboy. You know what I mean? And you had to be invited in through 2 of the cowboys. That
Hold on, let me see.
Most of the time it's one.
Benny Young in the building. TP2 Live. Sasha Monet in the building. Juice Laurent. Big Second in hoe, man. Y'all go download Sec. Drop your album in the chat. Big Sec got an album out, man. Go drop your album in the chat. Y'all go download that. Go download that too. Keisha Murphy, what's up with it? There go my sister in the building. Turn up one time. MT. One of the digits, Dre in the building. Dre coming down on the with the BCU merch on. Mr. T. Davis, I see you, family. Queen Ottawa. Crystal Kona in the building. Okay, let me see what's going on. Let me see what happened. All right, let's do this. I am about to make a new link and just drop it in the chat. I'm about to make a new link. And give me 2 seconds.
Many years ago, there lived strong men who roamed the periods of the land. They searched by day and watched by night to protect their cattle the best they can. They fought side by side. Many of them died, but nobody never told them that they were black cowboys. That was yesterday, but this is what's happening today. There are still many hard-riding black cowboys. They fought side by side, and many of them died. Yet nobody ever told them there were black cowboys. But history made it show that the whole world needs to know it's still many hard-riding black cowboys.
Me and my dad started this ranch back in 1947, and we raised cotton and corn, had a bunch of mules and horses out here, and all the kids right here was helping us pick feed and stuff. And after my dad passed, well, I decided to start a rodeo going, and because there wasn't no opportunity for no black cowboys around in this area, so I decided to start a rodeo going for the young black cowboys. It's a great opportunity as of right now.
No, back in the time when AJ and I was competing, it was pretty hard. Then we had to get ourselves adjusted. We would walk behind the ducking gates where they would let us go in the front. Guys would see us coming, white guy, and they'll spit just right in front of us, spit flowers, or either they'll cross over to getting off the gate back rail and their feet will hit us, and they'll probably laugh and say, "Excuse me," but they done it on purpose. So we just kept on going, but we hung in there because we knew it was something good by them not wanting us there, so we just stayed there.
I built this rodeo pen by hand, and it was an old tradition, and it's an old place, and I like to keep it like that because it's just common to the people out here by being at an old place. Most of the people come from around here from Louisiana. They're most out of Louisiana, and they settled down here in Texas, and they still love that old tradition about the old gumbo, the crawfish balls, and the gumbo, hot gumbo, and dancing and having a good time with the zydeco music. They love that.
Come around these rodeos, these country rodeos, and it's a lot of fun. You meet all the people that come here, and just like we all get together, just like one big happy family. Then they bring their kids out, which most parents have told their kids about the older cowboys like me and AJ on rodeo before, and they just glad to come out here and see what kind of guy we are, how we act, how we perform. And we do our performance and teach the younger guys how to perform, the young girls how to run barrel races, and just go to one of these old down the road country rodeo, and it's just like a one big happy family. We enjoy it.
Yeah, the thing was like that. He was pretty good. He watched me. I look at me right. He was real good. I didn't say that to your fight. I looked at some horse work. Yeah, last week I was in there. Yeah, all this time. He said.
You be coming around the mountain, you come. Coming around the mountain when you come. You coming around the mountains, you be coming around the mountains, you coming around the mountain when you come.
Hey, let me show y'all something. Watch this here. Hey, check this shit out.
Gonna kill the little rooster when you come. Gonna kill the little rooster when you come. We gonna kill the little rooster. We gonna kill the little rooster. Gonna kill the little rooster when you come. Cock-a-doodle-doo, cock-a-doodle-doo, quack, 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 quack. See you drive a secret horse when you come. You drive a secret horse when you come. She be riding secret horses, she be driving secret horses, she be riding secret horses when you come.
I'm gonna wring this chicken's neck, and it's hard to try to use your wrist and try to do it with less spins as you can to get his neck off. Here I go. Oh, I can't get it done.
That chicken said, get your bitch ass up out me.
Yeah.
We'll all go and meet him when you come. We'll all run and meet him when you come. We'll all run and meet him. We'll all run and meet him. All run and meet him when you come.
I got 50 old man out ring chickens today. They got old and just about to retire, so I'm thinking not doing it to Christmas weekend. It's loose. It's loose. Just standing right there, loose. There it is.
This gonna be different to my daughter. When she was young, when she was coming up, I was trying to show her how to wring a chicken neck. She sat there on that chicken neck for about 10 times. When she dropped that chicken, that rooster walked up, kept her going. But I'm gonna show you how to do this. Okay?
Kept her going.
We gonna kill this bear rooster. We gonna kill this bear rooster. We gonna kill this bear rooster when it comes. Cock-a-doodle-doo, cock-a-doodle-doo, quack, quack, quack. All right. Oh, the red rooster gone. Come make a gumbo. Anybody pick a chicken? Look at here. Anybody pick a chicken? Hell like that. DJ, you picking the chicken? Rico, you picking the chicken? Neil lose here. No, I got mine. Look at all the fellas on. Hold up, just hold on.
If y'all check out Homie in the Purple Shirt, a lot of those cowboys, they wore those prints on there, those patterns, those are Indian patterns. The prints that be on a lot of those, that's why they wore the feathers in their cowboy hats. You feel me? They wore the sweet grass. The cowboys wore the sweet grass on the end of their braids, and they wore the sweet grass around their neck like piece and chains. You feel me? And then you'll see a lot of the white cowboys mock that in the movies though. But cowboy boots and shit like that, man. Snake skin boots and this type of shit.
I learned making gumbo from scratch by watching Mother. Mother never used recipes or anything like that. She always just threw things together, and that's sort of like the way I've learned to make it. Just put a little bit of everything in it, and that's what makes a good gumbo. You have to help me.
Yeah, that's right.
That's enough grease.
Right, Benny Young say those type of chicken say that's the only way that's really the only way to eat it. That's why that chicken don't fry like that no more.
Okay, you can make either roux with grease and flour, or you can make a dry roux with just flour. Cook the flour. We're gonna make it with crease. Add the flour. Stir it. I'll make it.
I'm kind of what you know as a adopted son. AJ. Standing joke around this place. White boy.
Boy, y'all heard him, huh? Let me run that back. Y'all heard him, huh? Listen.
I'm kind of what you know as a adopted son. AJ. Standing joke around this place. White boy. But, you know, there's no prejudice out here. None at all.
Now you see how that white boy come live up under them goddamn Indians? See how that white boy come live up under them Indians? And he say, yeah, I'm a white boy. He living there because he benefiting off them Indians.
We get along with everybody and everybody gets along with us. There's always something going on. I'm making gumbo with boiling crawfish or barbecue or something.
Building outside.
Oh, yeah.
Whole lot of Indian shit.
Yeah, build most of the places around here. All our barn and all of this, our babies did most of the work on. Randy, you got me?
Yeah.
All right. Get the rest of our stuff together. Checking out bell pepper, we got red bell pepper, green bell pepper, green onions, white onions, celery.
All of it indigenous to the Americans. And this how we eat, this how we cook, this how I cook. You know, that's the Indian shit.
Oh, we left out the jalapeno pepper.
Yeah, we don't have any jalapenos. I'm originally from Ames, about 7 miles from here. I'm AJ's wife. I was at a dance with another fella, and he just decided he wanted to cut in, and that's what he did. And we've been together ever since.
All right. I need to drop that Umar Johnson meme on her motherfucking ass on that one. Y'all know when Umar show up like the Terminator, darn, like the Undertaker, I mean, darn. Nuh-uh. We ain't doing that. What Umar say, y'all got like bullshit. Fucked up right here, we ain't doing that. All right, you know what? Since I fuck with y'all, we gonna run it over here, man. I ain't gonna waste y'all time. We ain't gotta go over there. Let me pull my shit up. She said, come over and get that work. She said, come over and get that work. All right, let's turn it up, goddamn. I want to put in work, yeah. Whoa. All right, let's turn it up one time. Black Indian Cowboys of the Wild Wild West. As so correctly stated by Aaron Hope of the National Archives and Records Administration, it only takes 3 generations to lose a piece of oral family history. If you want to avoid losing those precious family stories passed down through the generations, the story must be purposely and accurately repeated over and over and over again through the generations to be preserved. The Treaty of Paris. Treaty of Paris comes from end of the 7-Year War between the colonists, the French, the Spanish, and their Indian allies. Man, down south, lived a nation of people who brought great contributions to the world. These people were looked on as an elite people of the world. We about to witness their demise. Well, the treaty signed on September the 3rd, 1783, between the American colonies and Great Britain ended the American Revolution and formally recognized the United States as an independent nation. This treaty signed on September the 3rd, 1783, between the American colonies and Great Britain ended the American Revolution and formally recognized the United States as an independent nation. The American War for Independence, 1775 through 83, was actually a world conflict involving not only the United States and Great Britain, but also France, Spain, and the Netherlands. The peace process brought a vaguely formed newly United States into the arena of international diplomacy, playing against the largest, most sophisticated, and most established powers on the earth. The 3 American negotiators, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, and John Jay. Man, I hope y'all signed up to BCU because, man, when I say we finna put some work in, you know, when I hear Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, and John Jay, you know what I hear? Africa. I hear Africa. I hear Huguenots. They proved themselves to be the masters of the game, outmaneuvering their counterparts and clinging fiercely to the points of national interest that guarantee their future for the United States. 2 crucial provisions of the treaty were British recognizing the U.S. independence and the delineation of boundaries that would allow for American Western expansion. The colonies, 13 colonies, will look to expand. The treaty is named for the city in which it negotiated and signed. The last page bears the signature of David Hartley, who represented Great Britain, and the 3 negotiators who signed their names in alphabetical order. Many treaty documents, however, be considered as originals. In this case, for example, the United States British residents signed at least 3 of the originals, 2 of which are holding in the National Archive. Another important treaty we're going to walk through is the Treaty of New York. 1790, the Treaty of New York between George Washington, fledgling constitutional government, and representatives of the Creek Seminole Nation, stands out among several early agreements between the United States and Native American sovereignty. It is the most notable in American diplomacy. It is the most notable in American diplomacy for its inclusion of agreements known only to certain parties. The treaty effective ended the Spanish monopoly over the trade with the Creeks and limited British influence on the southwestern frontier. Additionally, the documents asserted U.S. authority to treat the Creek Nation in the efforts by the authority, the state of Georgia, to act unilaterally and separately with the various tribes within adjacent to its territory. The treaty was crafted by Secretary of War Henry Knox, representing the U.S. government, and Alexander McGillivray represented a select group of Creek chiefs who had accompanied him in New York. McGillivray also claimed to speak for the Seminoles. Although the Seminoles in Florida had been linked for many years to the tribe that was a part of the Creek Confederacy in Alabama, Georgia for a long time and relatively late arrival on the peninsula, the Appalachians, Calusa, Temucans, and smaller tribes arrived much earlier. The original tribes of Florida may have numbered as many as 100,000 persons, were virtually extinct when the lower creeks became permanent settlements in the peninsula in the later half of the 18th century. That's when they talking about when the whites started moving in. All right. Carolina slave raiders, migration, disease, and wars, and Spanish control in the extermination of the Timucuans living in northeastern and central Florida. During the 16th century, when the Spanish influence arrived, learning the Moors' success captured Florida, Native Americans, various parties of whites, Yamasee, and Lower Creeks moved southward to raid the particular defense villages. And by 1705, 32 towns had been destroyed by raiders from the north. 1702, one party of 33 Yamasee, led by Captain Thomas Norrin, paddled for 6 days on the river going ashore to seize the Temucans as they hunted fish and gathered firewood. In a report in 1709, Narrine informed the Earl Sunderlands that the garrison of St. Augustine is by the wall, Queen Anne's Wall, reduced to bare walls, this castle of Indian towns and consumed either by an invasion or by the place of Indian subjects who had quested booty, not to be obliged to go down as far as the point of Florida to firm land permits. They had drove the Florida islands to Cape and have been brought and sold many hundreds of them daily. Now continue to trade. Gradually, Spanish-controlled Florida received a few surviving Temucan, Appalachian, and Yamasee villages, clustered from the most part around St. Augustine, St. Mark's. Florida Native American population rapidly declined. By 1759, only 3 villages remained under Spanish protection. At the same time, the Florida tribes were being disseminated. The Creek Confederation included some 60 towns in population, nearly 20,000 scattered throughout Georgia, Alabama, and fringe areas were thriving. The Confederation represented a class of cultures, languages, and environments, with only rarely and common goal in front. English traders classified the Confederation into 2 principal divisions, the Upper and Lower Creek, who lived around the Coosa, Tupaloosa, branches of Alabama and primarily spoke Muskogee dialect, and the Lower Creeks who resided in the valleys of the Chattahoochee and Flint rivers along Lower Alabama and Georgia borders, or primarily spoke Miccosukee dialect. Similar migrations in Florida came in 3 phases. Between 1702 and 1740, the Seminoles made raids against the Spanish and their Appalachian allies. Although they acquired much knowledge of the Florida terrain, they made no significant settlements during this period. And by 1740 and 1812, at least 6 Seminole villages were established in the northern part of Florida. Small parties explored the entire peninsula in search of Alabama and Georgia, forced many Upper and Lower Creeks to move into Florida. The first Seminoles were really Creeks who migrated into Florida. Well, we're gonna see an influx of Scots, Irish, and these Jews. I mean, you had Huguenots down there, you had French, you had Spanish, you had Portuguese, you had a whole mix-up going on down there. A lot of action. One of the families who come down there participated in the Battle of Preston in 1715. Well, they find their way into America. A guy by the name of Dougal McQueen. Peter McQueen, he was a Creek chief. He was a prophet, a trader, and a warrior from Tallahassee, among the upper towns in present-day Alabama. He was one of the young men known as the Red Sticks. Shout out to the Red Sticks, who became a prophet and explosion for European Americans from Creek territory and revival and traditional practices. The Red Sticks attracted a majority of population in the upper towns in either 19th century from open conflict with the lower towns in Creek War. The Red Sticks were drawn into conflict with the United States after being attacked by territorial militia. The Red Sticks were defeated by Colonel Andrew Jackson with state militias, Creek and Cherokee warriors at Horseshoe Bend in 1814, McQueen survived to retreat into Florida, along with other Creek warriors. There he joined with recently formed Seminole and continued the resistance to the United States forces during the First Seminole War. He was influenced by the Shawnee Prophet, T, and his brother was Tecumseh. McQueen was one of the several young Creek prophets who envisioned the explosion of the European Americans from Native American lands. They were angered by the failure of Big Warrior, who him and others who assimilated into Creek headsmen to be more responsible for their people. The traditional lines of communication had been disrupted by Benjamin Hawkins, the U.S. Superintendent of Indian Affairs in the Southeast, who lived among the Creek. McQueen became aligned with the Red Stick faction, and the conflict rose between the Upper Creek town and the Lower Creek, who had adopted more European ways and developing into violence in the spring of 1813. The Red Stick War began to attack plantations of their enemies, destroying crops and livestock. So at this time, man, one of the points that's being left out is the greatness of our people that stood out was that we were masters at agriculture. We are the descendants of the Mississippi Mound Builders. Agriculture was our thing, man. Raising cattle and livestock was our thing. 1791, they came with the civilization plan. This is Washington now. And one of the things they wanted to do was basically take the man out of his place, his rightful place. They wanted to take a lot of the hunting grounds and have men farming and reduce down to gardens and shit like this here. So what they wanted to hit them was on the agriculture. What they wanted to hit them was on the animals they was hunting, the game they were hunting. And that's how they slowly was killing the economy. Food was scarce. They would set shit on fire, burning crops. And they was making it a difficult situation for the people down there. The Red Sticks began to attack plantations of their enemies, destroying crops and livestock. So they started getting some get back together, man. You had these Creek Indians down there, and a lot of them was mixed with Scottish ancestry, Scottish Irish ancestry. McQueen commanded a party of Red Sticks who went to Spanish Florida to procure arms, and they returned to present-day Alabama. They were ambushed by territorial militia and scattered. The Red Sticks regrouped and defeated the militia, who were looting their packs at what became called the Battle of Burnt Corn. We'll go through Peter McQueen. We'll go through Polly Ann. Jose Carpenter. He was a Spanish soldier who served in the infantry of the Royal Spanish Army. He was governor of East Florida. Several areas in Cuba include Pina del Rio, Bayamo, Contrala Villas, the towns of Trinidad and Santo Espírito, Villa Clara, San Juan de los, and Trinidad Province in various towns between 1801 and 1834. He was also a member of the Royal and Military Order of St. Ferdinand and the San Hermenegildo. Jose Maria Lopez de Gomera Carpenter was born in Havana, Cuba, 1773, and baptized on April 18 at the Cathedral of Havana. He was the son of Cornelius Carpenter O'Brien and Maria de Dolores Lopez de Gomera, while Hernandez Arturo. Okay, when you thought it was over, we still right here. His father was of Irish origin and engaged in the slave trade. fleeing Ireland because of his he hid a priest in the family house, which was considered treasonous at that time. After immigrating to Spain, Cornelius Carpenter became a naturalized Spanish citizen. In 1767, the Cornelius Carpenter family was a successful merchant, military officer, prophet, owner, and civil official origin. His mother was Cuban, but her family was originally from Seville. Having immigrated to Cuba in the 17th century, she was the daughter of Francisco Lopez Garama Ayala, a magistrate of the Real Audiencia Spain Supreme Court in Havana and the Council of the Royal Treasury. Carpenter family was Roman Catholic. They were birthed Osceola. When Colonel Jose Maria Carpenter Lopez de Garma came the last Spanish governor of East Florida in January 1816, he was 34 years old. He had traveled to St. Augustine from Cuba, where his family had lived only a short generation of a half, but very prosperous. His maternal grandparents were Henry Carpenter of County Cork Island and Helen O'Brien, daughter of Colonel Cornelius O'Brien. The family was a stout Roman Catholic and had paid highly for it. Henry's own father, Henry, was three brothers, had been attainted for high treason, suffered outlawry and loyalty to James II, ill-fated king of England and Scotland. Joseph father Cornelius Carpenter, according to the family tradition, had to flee to Ireland for treasonous offensive hidden in the Roman Catholic priest. James McQueen and the Carpenter family now caught up in the American Southeast. Cornelius, whose Irish forebears were significant property owners and successful merchants, military officers, and civil officials. There were several other bits of information to consider that were provided by the Seminoles and Mooskee Creeks themselves. Many of them, both Florida and Oklahoma, remember Osceola as a Spanish man, Cornelius Carpenter, and his son. Jose certainly was fluent in Spanish. Any slave sold by them may well have been facility in Spanish as well. From 1784 to 1821, the Spaniards still held sway over much of the Muskogee territory. And for the most of 3 centuries at the moment, all of the tribes had numerous and regular interactions with the Spaniards. But imagine Osceola as a Spanish man indicates even more intense and personal interaction. This may be more of the reason why the young warrior had a cliche for historical standpoint. All right, so right here in 1968, now they say you know him as a Spanish man. He was fluent in Spanish as well as John Hart was fluent in Spanish. 1968. Reports by T. Dale Stewart and Eric Reed posed that Osceola had a black ancestor. This possibly was the base on the unique formation of the long bones in the chapter 6, although the typical physical evidence, he said, okay, Carpenter's father may have been a black man. All right, and so we're going to go right here, man. I got the great Osceola blood in me, goddamn, and that'll bring us down to the Patriot War of 1812. That'll bring us to the Patriot War of 1812, man. Let's turn up in this motherfucker. So we got U.S. expansion rocking now. They coming down into the Southeast, Florida. They want to cut off the trade, suffocate the Spanish and the British. This powerful trade that they had with the Indians. And they wanted to take the land and initiate a civilized plan to go in and colonize these people in the South. And this is where the story begins. The Patriot War of 1812, the first permanent settlement in what is now Jamestown, founded at Crawford in 1791, a narrow point in St. John's River where the cattlemen, let me run that back. A narrow point in St. John's River where the cattlemen, you know what a cattleman is? A cowboy. Fuck out of here. 1791, we talking about cowboy shit in 1791, homeboy. 1791. Whoa. Spanish controlled Florida Peninsula. This is a major concern for leaders. Many Americans who had been moving into Florida since the 1790s, they were known as patriots, and they were eager to help Florida become American territory. Since anarchy reigned over most Florida, except a few places controlled by the Spanish, the U.S. government used the excuse to invade Florida in order to control the anarchy and protect American citizens in that area. The U.S. also wanted the territory to prevent Britain from getting foothold in the area. The National Fort President James Madison and the Secretary of State James Monroe plotted to secure the Spanish Florida as a territory of the United States. And that was on January the 15th, 1811. Congress passed the Secret Act for acquisition of that area. The Treaty of Moultrie Creek, man. Decades before the United States obtained possession of the whole of Florida, the Indians had learned to the fear of Americans. 3 times the men of the new nation to the north had invaded the peninsula. 2 of these invasions had brought ruins to the red men. The first invasion, listen, family. The first invasion during the Patriot War of 1811 to 1813 had initiated the disintegration of the towns and the agriculture of the Indians. So what they wanted to do, they burned the towns and they wanted to burn the agriculture. This is the shit that we were setting. These are the resources that were setting. This is what made us powerful at that time in trade. The agriculture of the Indians, east of the Swanee River. The second Andrew Jackson campaign in 1818 had wreaked the same havoc upon the west of the Swanee. The Florida Indians were never the same after those 2 catastrophic perceptive white men testified to this fact. In 1822, listen, 1822, Captain John R. Bell, U.S. Army, acting agent of the Seminoles, said that there had once been a proud, he said that the Indians, the Florida Indians, these Appalachians, Temucas, these Coosas, shout out to the real Wiley tribes down there in the building. He said they once had been proud. He said they once had been proud and numerous and wealthy. Yeah, he said you niggas in Florida once was proud. He said y'all was numerous and wealthy, possessing great numbers of cattle. Listen, possessing great numbers of cattle, horses, and slaves. They are now weak, poor, yet their native spirit is not so much broken. Man, let me run that back for the people in the back that ain't hear what I just said. It's coming from the Seminoles Indian agent, John R. Bell. He said they are now weak and poor, yet their native spirit is not so much broken as to humble them to the dust. The following year, Joseph Hernandez, a pre-United States Floridian and a person of consequence in the peninsula, put it this way: but thus broken up, they have continued ever since, without the least kind of spirit, industry, or enterprise. They could at one time have been considered as having arrived at the first stage of civilization, but it remained for one of their own to see their downfall in deeply touching words. Chiefly Starkey said, when I walk about these woods now, I desolate and remember the numerous herds that are out of range throughout them. In the form of prosperity of our nation, the tears come to my eyes. Hold on, man. He say, when I walk about the woods, now so desolated, and remember the numerous herds that once ranged through them, and the formerly prosperity of the nation. He say, man, tears come to my eyes. That's how great them people was, man. That spirit, that soul. And man, when you see them trail rides, man, and you see them riding in the cattle ride out, yeah, man. You come down there, man. What that white boy say? He say, man, over here is always something going on. Indians are gonna keep something going on every day like the weekend, man. You know that feeling in the hood, or growing up in your building or your projects where you just have that, you know, the energy when you just go outside. It's a different energy outside. It's a different energy out there in that community. And that, yeah, man. And they came down there and broke that. $150 years ago, Dade County. Shout out to Dade County. Shout out to Dade County. 150 years ago, Dade County was established. Amidst the smoke and flames burning plantations, the violent period of our history is known as the Second Seminole War, precipitated by the massacre of U.S. troops under the command of Brevet Major Francis Longhorn Dade near Brussels, Florida. This war had been referred to as the fiercest of all the American Indian wars. Let me run that back. This war has been referred to as the fiercest of all of the American Indian wars. The Dade Massacre is also the second greatest defeat the U.S. Army ever suffered at the hands of the Indians. Yeah, it is also the greatest defeat that the U.S. Army ever suffered at the hands of Indians. Custer defeated at the Little Bighorn decades later, being somewhat worse. The creation of Dade County came shortly after the attack on Dade's troops. On receipt of the news and disaster, they proposed new county name and changed it from Pinckney after the Revolutionary War hero to Dade. As Major Francis Longhorn Dade swung into his shadow on the morning of December 23rd, 1835, he faced a similar challenge. He was to lead two companies of approximately 110 men across the 100 miles of wilderness, which lay between Fort Brooke and Tampa. Man, let's walk. The Indians' ill feeling could be traced to specific causes. The lands assigned to them by the Moultrie Creek Treaty of 1823 were too poor to cultivate and raise cattle. And so this move that they used was a trick that they used with the Irish and the Scots. They moved them off the fertile land and they gave them this land that ain't worth 2 pennies. "19, 20% of the whole country," wrote Governor Duval of Florida. "It is by far the poorest and most miserable region I have beheld. There was little healthy drinking water. Those Indians who did not move on to the reservation were not properly maintained and funds were not fairly distributed. To make matters worse, 1828 flood created famine among the Indians. In 1828, Andrew Jackson was elected president. This was to have a profound effect on the American Indian relations. He was the first of 4 presidents between 1828 and 44 to whom won fame as Indian fighters, and the other 2 were vice presidents and acts of Congress during this time. To reflect this, the Indian Removal Act of 1830 proposed removal of 72,000 Indians who lived east of the Mississippi River. The Moultrie Creek Treaty of 1823 had given the Florida Indians 20 years until 1843 to immigrate. But a new treaty at Payne Landing in 1832 changed it to the 1835. This further solidified Indian anti-removal factions and added to their ranks. And so on March 27, 1835, an address by President Jackson was read before the assembled Florida Indian chiefs. "My children, your friend Andrew Jackson." In between, it revealed the unveneered harshness of Jackson's intention. "The game will disappear from your country," he said. He said, "The game has disappeared from your country." He talking about our livestock. They went to go looking for food. He wrote, "Your people are poor and hungry. The tract you ceded will soon be surveyed and sold immediately, occupied by a white population. You have no right to stay. I have directed the commanding officer to remove you by force. When principal leaders of the principal leaders such as Mint, Alligator, and Jumper, and Sam Jones expressed their disapproval, Indian agent Wiley Thompson illegally struck their names from the list of chiefs. Okay? They was no longer represented as chief. And when I go through the story of my family, let me tell you something. Similar to this, they story where they was killing off the livestock and all this type of shit. But we're gonna run through that, man, through some real Texas, Louisiana history, man, on the Indians down there, and which also is a part of this history as well. Let's walk real quick though. June 1835, when Osceola visited the Fort King with his wife, whose mother was an escaped slave. When a slaver claimed Osceola's wife as a slave, Osceola reacted with such language that Thompson ordered him into irons. He said, "Bitch, you touch one of you hoes, touch her, I'm gonna kill you hoe." Nigga talking about that's his slave. He say, "Bitch, touch her if you want to." Yeah. Everybody in this hoe dead, man. Thompson had him thrown in the iron. They put him in cuffs and locked him up for 6 days. He got released when he came out. Later, when they asked him what should be done about Thompson, he told them, "Nigga, nah, that's my homie." He said, "I'm gonna take care of that one personally. I want y'all to circle that." Cause he said, "Nah, don't fuck with him." The little homie them say, "Hey, man, what's up? What you gonna do with this whole ass nigga?" He said, "Nah, he got it. He got it. He got that. I'm gonna take care of that one personally. I got him." Now walk. Other incidents added to the tension. One skirmish between several settlers and 7 Indians left 3 settlers and 1 Indian wounded and 1 Indian dead. Early in August, Private Kinsley Dalton, after whom Dalton, Georgia was named, was killed while carrying mail between Fort Brooke and Fort King. On the 19th of August, Indians and authorities held the last council. The anti-removal chief spoke for the Indians. The anti-removal chief said nothing. Soon after, the Indians held their own council in the Big Swamp. It was decided that any Indian who prepared for removal would be put to death. When Halada and Malta brought, we just gonna call that nigga Halada. When Halada brought 400 of his people from Fort Brooke on November the 9th, they were closely followed by a war party. On the 26th of the same month, Osceola killed Charlie in Malta because he had sold his cattle. A preliminary step towards removal, Osceola took the money that Charlie and Malta had received for the cattle and threw it to the ground. Come to find out, kinfolk come out there and his shit missing. And you know, it's little whispers about Charlie. You ain't talking to Charlie. You might want to go talk to Charlie. Charlie fuck around and said, "Yeah, I sold him out." And as a real Indian, Osceola went in the nigga pockets and murdered him. He took the money and threw it to the ground, forbidding any Indian to pick it up because the white man money came from Indian blood. 4 days later, Thompson postponed cattle sales and warned the public to guard against Indian. They said that Indians was finna come stepping that night. He said, "I can tell how these hoes acting. They finna try something." What might be considered the first battle of the war occurred at Payne's Prairie on December 18th, when 50 or 60 Indians attacked the military wagon train. Of the 30 militiamen, 8 were killed, 6 were wounded. As a result, 500 men joined the mounted Florida militia, and landowners began fortifying their plantations. Some built fairly elaborate forts and stockades, but log plantations. It consisted of alleyways made from substantial square cedar posts 10 feet high that led to a palmetto fort having 4 angles or a bastion. At this time, there were only 500 federal troops in Florida. Let me run that back. It was only 500 federal troops in Florida at this time. They had a dude by the name of Commander Duncan L. Clinch of the 4th Infantry. He had asked for reinforcement. This small number of troops encouraged the Indians to resist removal because 500 men could not enforce the removal of over 4,800 Indians. One reason given later for the government in action was that the Indians were not to be removed before January. Hostilities were not expected until the time of actual embarkment. All right, President Jackson views of the Florida situation. Check him out. You know what this hoe said? When they was telling them, man, what's up on the end? He said, man, them niggas ain't moving. It ain't number 500. Them Indians told them niggas, fuck you, nigga. And, you know, bitch, get away from here before I spit on you. And Jackson say, what the fuck taking so long? Jackson say, he say that he could take 50 women. Jackson said, I go down there with 50 women and whoop every one of them Indians' ass down there that ever crossed the Suwannee River, goddamn. I take 50. What the fuck you mean? They said they ain't leaving. Nigga, what you doing down there? Man, go get them niggas up out of there, man. Tell them niggas I said leave. Nigga, where you gun? You got your gun and shit? Where the cannons and shit? I am paying you niggas. For what? What am I paying y'all for? Tell them niggas to get up and get the fuck out of there. We want that land. He said, nigga, I would take 50 women down there and whoop every last one of them motherfuckers down there that ever crossed the Suwannee River, nigga. He maintained that there were only 600 Indians. How the fuck y'all ain't get them niggas? Nigga talking about there's only 500 of them. It ain't but 600 of them. White boy. He talking about, hell you talking about? It ain't but 500 y'all. Hell, it ain't but 600 Indians. I don't need but 50, 40, 50 women on a good day. Go down there and we get them niggas up. How would it take it so long? You niggas are scared. Don't tell me you scared of them Indians. No, man, don't tell me you scared, man. Hell no. Man, I need them niggas out. I need them out. Or somebody finna get fired around this hoe. White further quoted that the old Indian fighter is saying that the men in Florida had better run or else the Indians would shoot them. That nigga tell them, nigga, hey man, you niggas better run. You better run off or let the Indians shoot you. That the women might get husbands of courage. Huh? He said, you niggas so pussy. You know what's gonna happen down there? All them find that Indian, they gonna find a man, a real nigga with some courage, with some balls, some kahunas. And they gonna get the fucking, and they gonna breed up men who will defend the country. The men today in command reflected a recent change in recruiting policy. Prior to 1835, immigrants had not been accepted into the military service. Now, less than a year later, that changed, okay? One half of Dave's men were immigrants from Ireland. They were immigrants from Germany. They were immigrants from Scotland. They were immigrants from England. They were immigrants from Parasia. They were immigrants from Canada and Saxony. Okay? And these were the white men they were bringing down there in the militias. And these were the nigga they was making these promises to and sending them down there. On the 26th of the command proceed, Pacillo was sent forward to check out the territory. The next river crossing, this was at the Ottauquechee as before. Y'all know y'all niggas came up. I didn't know coochie was an Indian word. Y'all niggas came up calling it the coochie. And that was an Indian word the whole goddamn time. As before, the bridge was burned, but the time only partially. After replacing the damaged planks, the army went into camp miles up the river. Today, these burned bridges must have seen. Hold on, let me come down here. He said, we had been preparing. This is what the dude Alligator said. So watch this here. They ended up getting reports after the war, right? So let's walk. On the 26th, as Pachil, he got sent up. What he didn't know that was the Indians were delaying him to allow more time for the arrival of additional Indians. So when they got there, they had cut down the bridges and all that shit. The Indians burned the bridges and all that shit. Put the logs and shit, and they make that way a problem. But the Indians waiting on Osceola and Big Mick and them to pull up. They got some homies too about to come through. Not far away from the scene at the Indian camp was one of the intense excitements. The warriors danced to keep warm. Finna rock out, nigga. The warriors danced to keep warm, nigga. The moment had come, which could wait no longer. We had been preparing for this for more than a year, Alligator later reported. Alligator was one of the chiefs. He was one of the chiefs down there, man, and Alligator was in the spot, man, where he was gonna have to make a decision, man, who he was gonna ride with. Well, Alligator say we had been preparing for this more than a year. And though promises had been made to assemble on January the 3rd, they did not plan to leave the country, but to fight for it. In council, it was determined to strike and decided to blow about this time. Big Mick wanted to delay the attack until Osceola arrived. He was opposed by Jumper, who reapproached Mick for the timidness. That nigga Jumper told him, say, homie, we finna ride out. He said, nah, I want to wait till Big O get here. We gonna wait till Osceola pull up. He said, nah, fuck that, man. We finna go and get down on these niggas. They right there. We finna go and make this shit happen, bro. They out there dancing and keep warm and shit. We gotta go and start moving for what we miss our opportunity. And Mick say, yeah, we gonna ride, but Big O say they a few way. He said, man, fuck that, nigga. If y'all niggas scared, then don't come. And Jumper addressed the Indians and then requested that those with faint hearts should stay behind. Anybody, if you don't want to do this, homie, you ain't got to do it. And Jumper prepared to leave. Big Mick said he was ready. The following three accounts embodied nearly all of what we know what happened that day. Almost poetically, injustice of three factions involved. One is from Soldier Ransom Clark, another is from Chief Alligator, and the third is from a Negro guy, Pachillo. Just as day was breaking, we moved out the swamp into the Pine Barren. I counted by direction of Jumper, 180 warriors. Upon approaching the road, each man closed his position on the west side. Opposite of the east side, there was a pond. Every warrior was protected by a tree or secreted in high palomitos. About 9 o'clock in the morning, the command approaches in the van. Some distance was an officer on the horse. You hear me? See a nigga up there up front on the horse. They walk. They see a nigga, we in position. It's 9 in the morning. They see a nigga on the horse. Big Mick said he was the captain. He knew him personally. He had been his friend at Tampa. So soon all the soldiers were opposite between us in the pond, perhaps 20 yards off. Jumper gave the whoa. Whoa. Big Mick fired the first rifle. Big Mick got off on their ass. The signal agreed upon when every Indian arose in the field, which laid upon the ground, dead, more than half the white men. The cannon was discharged several times, but the men who loaded it was shot down as soon as the smoke cleared away. The balls passed over our heads. The soldiers shouted and whooped, and the officers shook their swords and swore. There was a little man, a great brave man, who shook his sword at the soldiers and said, God damn, no rifle ball could hit him. As we were returning to the swamps, supposing all were dead, an Indian came up and said the white men were building a fort of logs. Indian rolled up and said, he seen the white boy back there. Them niggas was trying to put together a little fort situation. Oh, okay. So everybody ain't dead. We on our way back to the swamp. So everybody ain't dead. A handful of them got away. Jumping myself with 10 warriors returned. As we approached, we saw 6 men behind 2 logs, placed one above another with the cannon a short distance off. This they discharged at us several times, but we avoided it by dodging behind trees. Just like they amplified the fire, we soon came near. As the balls went over us, they had guns but no powder. We looked in the boxes afterwards and found that they was empty too. When I got inside the log pen, there was 3 white men alive, whom the Negroes had put to death. After a conversation in English, there was a brave man in the pen. He would not give it up. He seized the Indian, Jumper's cousin. White boy grabbed Jumper, little kinfolk. Little homie out there sleeping, ain't paying attention. White boy grabbed him. Oh, come here. Took away his rifle and with one blow with it, beat his brains. Y'all hear that? Nigga grabbed little homie, man, and caught him. Nigga, white boy straight killed him. You understand me? Then ran some distance up the road. But 2 Indians on horseback overtook him. Yeah, them cowboys went out there and got him. Who, afraid to approach, stood at a distance and shot him down. The fire had ceased and all was quiet. When he returned to the swamp, 3 warriors were killed and 5 wounded. Man, let's walk. About 10 o'clock, while I was with the advance guard, Captain Frazier and I returned aside to examine an old gray horse we found on the road. Finding out it was worthless, I had returned it to the road and had nearly overtaken the advance guard when I heard a single rifle shot. And I looked back to see if someone was shooting game, but just in time to see Major Dave fall just in front of me, shot in the breast. Nigga from Dade County named after, nigga put a bullet through him. Although this was perfectly open country, and I had just looked carefully for Indians ahead, the country was now filled with large numbers of them on our left. Nigga say he walking at 10 o'clock in the morning, nigga, I'm scratching the yard, and nigga, somebody done got out. Turn around, cuz drop, bloom. He look around trying to see where the Indians at. He turned around and see where the Indians at and shit. Now, it look like these niggas was everywhere. He said they was filled in large numbers of them on our left, coming for us with the war whoop. He said, I immediately threw down my gun and I laid down behind the tree. Very much frightened as I can speak the Seminole language. I begged each one of them for my life, and they leveled their guns at me. So the slave nigga, Pop, he said he threw his gun down, goddamn, he got to talking in Seminole to them niggas' ass. He said, and they were not a few, telling them I was a slave and that I was only doing what I was bidden. He said, he's a slave, man, I ain't got nothing to do with this shit here, bro. They send me up here, bro. They gonna kill me. Come on, man, what you want me to do? What you want me to do, man? Finally, Jumper, the chief in command, interfered and ordered, as well as he then could, that I should not be shot. And so Jumper say, hold on, man, don't shoot him. You know, he a slave, man. He ain't got nothing to do with that. Don't shoot him. But really, we gonna hold his ass and get some information out of him. But even after this, he said, even after the big homie said, hey, look out, don't shoot him, don't fuck with him. Nah, he all right. One of the Indians was determined to kill me, he said. But unfortunately, another Indian got his rifle ball stuck in his gun and ran. When the other Indians seeing this one run, became frightened and they all ran. When Jumper again took me and put me under guard, the same Indian, that same little motherfucker, his pistol, his gun jammed on the nigga though. He said, though assured me that when he come back, he was gonna kill me. He said, He said that same Indian told him, he said, when the nigga ran off, he said, bitch, I'm gonna kill you when I come back. Motherfucking pistol jammed up on him. He said, nah, bitch. He said, Jumper said, let me make it. He said, nah, nigga, fuck that. Fuck that, bitch. Yeah, nah, ho, you was shooting. I saw you shooting, bitch. You with him. They was like, hey, man, y'all. He said, Jumper, man, talk to him, man. You said, don't let me. He said, little nigga tried to get off on him anyway. That bitch jammed up on him. Bitch jammed up on him. They took out running him and all the other little niggas. So, bitch, I'm gonna kill you when I get back home. I'm finna go get my other burner. I'm finna run to go get my other burner. After the battle, the Indians joined by Osceola retired to the island of Wahoo Swamp. The same day, Osceola had exacted the vengeance on Wiley Thompson. As he ventured outside Fort King for an evening stroll, Lieutenant Constantine Smith, Osceola and his followers volleyed round and round into Thompson and Smith. Thompson was shot 14 times. Y'all remember that nigga when one of them niggas talking about Osceola's wife was his slave and Osceola said, I killed every one of you hoes in here, y'all touch her. And Thompson had him locked up. Thompson had a lot of the day, was tired of Thompson. Well, on this day, Thompson got to go. I'm tired of this whole ass nigga. Nah, man, I can't do this no more with this nigga, man. Big old strapped up, man, him and a few of the homies, man, they pushed down there where them niggas hang at. And nigga went outside on the evening stroll, man, and Osceola and them volleyed round and round into Thompson and Smith. Smith and Thompson got it. Everybody on the block. Everybody out there chopping miles down. Nearby, Rogers, King, Ford Sutlers, and two clerks, Suggs and Hisler, were killed at the dinner table. Okay? While that's going down, they ordered another hit on the other side of town. The post was so weak that the force was large enough to retaliate, could not be mustered. The soldiers did not even dare to venture out of the safety of the fort to recover the bodies of Thompson and Smith, which lay nearby. They left their ass in the dirt. This let they be a list. That night, some of the Indians gathered in the Wahoo Swamp, addressed humorous speeches to the scalp General Thompson. That nigga, the body was still laying out there. Them niggas was in the swamp. One of them little niggas yelled out, I'm finna go scalp that bitch. I'm finna take his scalp. They said, nah, chill out. They told that nigga still out there. Yeah, he's still out there. Them niggas ain't coming out the fort. The nigga say, well, shit, I'm finna go get that bitch scalp. He said, nah, chill out, calm down. He said, I'm about to go get that. Imitating the justice and manner of speaking, Private John Thompson returned to Fort Brooke on December 29th. On his way from the Big Hillsboro, Fort Brooke had met an Indian in disabled condition, and he had to buy his life from the Indian. I tell you, nigga, it's a rock and roll out there, man. Nigga on the way, John Thompson, he was on his way over there to the fort, nigga. He walked around and ran across the Indian. Man, let me tell you how dangerous it was, man, to run across the Indian in these times, man. You know what he had to do? He had to run the motherfucking pockets for that Indian. That's how he made it up out of there. In disabled condition, he had to buy his life from the Indian. He had to buy his life from him. Who threatened to kill him. And how he bought his motherfucking life by giving the Indian all of his money. Okay? Made him run them pockets. Made him run the motherfucking pockets, man. Turn up one time, that walk. Instead of attacking Fort Brooke and Fort King, Osceola turned his attention to the force Colonel Duncan Clinch. Osceola fought Clinch at the Occoquechee in December 31st. This was an evening battle fought to a draw, but coupled in destruction the day command, demonstrating an inability of the army to remove the Indians. After this engagement, Osceola told Clinch he could hold out against the army for 5 years. Fuck you mean, nigga? We ain't going no motherfucking well, nigga. We can do this. Nigga, we here. We outside, bitch. Quickly, destruction spread across the state. January 1836, 16 large plantations in the East Florida were destroyed by Indians. Each plantation had from 100 to 150 working slaves. Most of the slaves evacuated to safe areas such as Anastasia Island. That walk, goddamn. Turn that one time, man. With my flames into this motherfucker. This is Black Indian Cowboys of the Wild Wild West. We about to turn up. Hold on. We setting the stage. Man. Let me bump this body on one time. How y'all feeling out there on this Sunday? Goddamn. I know it's late. We in here rocking on the late night. Yeah, that part. Treaty of Camp Moultrie, Payne Landing, Fort Gibson. Talk about Seminole history. And depending on what side of the coin you're coming off of, 3 different treaties were involved in the removal of the Seminoles. It had been said that treaties regarding the Creek tribes also involved the Seminoles in their relocation as well. But the Seminoles were not involved and were unaware of those agreements. 3 main treaties regarding the Seminoles in the Treaty of Moultrie Creek, Treaty of Payne Landing, and Treaty of Fort Gibson. The Treaty of Moultrie Creek oppression of the Seminoles started in 1821 when Florida was bought from Spain by the United States. The Treaty of Moultrie Creek relocated Seminoles to Central Florida. The land and reservation provided to the Seminoles in this treaty was not fit for their herding and planting. This treaty also said that the Americans could build roads through their reservations. Treaty of Payne's Landing. The Treaty of Payne Landing, negotiated by James Gaskin. In 1832, it called for the Indian tribes of the Seminoles land to be moved west of the Mississippi, along while other tribes of the Creek. The treaty more or less asked the Seminoles to blend and become one tribe. The Creeks, the treaty also required that the Seminoles not bring any of the African Americans from their land, but leave behind to be used as slaves. Whereas the Seminole Indians of Florida entered into certain articles of agreement with James Gaston, commissioner on behalf of the United States in Payne, at Payne's Landing, on the 9th day of May, 1832. The first article in which the Treaty of Agreement provides follows. The Seminole Indians relinquished the United States and all claim to the land at the present day occupied in the territory of Florida, and agree to immigrate to the country assigned to the Creeks, west of the Mississippi River. It being understood that an additional extent of the territory, proportion in their number, would be added to the Creek country, and that the Seminoles would receive as a constitutional part of their Creek nation, and be readmitted to all the privileges and members of the same. And whereas said the agreement, and also stipulates and provides that the delegation of Seminoles should be sent in the expense of the United States to examine the country to be allotted them among the Creek. And the reason why they wanted to put them under the Creek is because they had the Creek in their back pocket already. And they should delegation be satisfied with the character of the country and the favorable disposition of the Creeks to unite them as one people. Then the aforementioned treaty would be considered binding, the obligatory upon the parties, and the treaty be made between the United States and the Creek Indians west of the Mississippi at Fort Gibson on the 14th day of February 1833, in which the country to provide the Seminoles and pursuance of existing agreements between the United States and the tribes, and whereas the special delegation appointed by the Seminoles. And so they looking for this land to remove them west to, and they say, how about putting them with the Creek? They wanted to put them under this Creek government, and they did that for a reason. The Creek lands designated the Seminoles in the Treaty of Payne Landing and were forced to accept the delegation, and reaches in the Seminoles were unhappy. They planned to resist. 1835 set as the year Seminoles would have to start immigrating to the new land. 1835, resistance of the Seminole and persistence of American government led to the Second Seminole War. Well, they going out west, man. They say, fuck it, man. We gonna go and leave out. You know, I'm hearing a lot of good things about out there, man. You know, the food gone, man. Our cattle, our agricultural way of life is ruined. And headed west. Get out there on the west, man. It was goddamn Chocolate City. Shout out to DC, man. It was Chocolate City out there, man. Big old party, running into people you didn't see, man. They got different coaches out there. But one of the things that was going on in the West, man, was you was going out there and there was a lot of real niggas out there already. They already had a culture. They was quick with the gun. Niggas live fast and die young out there. Some of the beautiful women, man, the beautiful house parties. And well, we went house party, but we'll go out back, as y'all see right here. And we'll make it do what it do, goddamn, in Indian territory. You had Art Buckle out there, man. He would become the Indian agent in that area over Fort Gibson, man. We get the Fort Gibson Treaty with the Seminoles. This military supposed to be set up as a military road out of Indian territory. 100 years ago, the U.S. military post Fort Scott was founded. The site was in Indian country, a few miles beyond Missouri border in the Western Military Road. Established May 30, 1842, Fort Scott existed as a frontier post for nearly 12 years. It was abandoned in 1853, the year preceding the organization of Kansas Territory. Some of the buildings erected in 1840 remain today within the town of Fort Scott. The establishment of the fort was linked in the development of a system of defense of Western border. The route of Western Military Road, approved by Congress in 1836, was the principal factor in the location of Fort Scott. The Indian Removal Act of 1830 established a federal policy for the removal of all Indian tribes from the eastern states country west of the Mississippi River. By 1835, more than 30,000 Indians, Principal Creek, Choctaw, Cherokee, Swanee, had been settled in territory immediately west of Missouri and Arkansas. 1834, Congress passed the Intercourse Act to regulate trade and intercourse with the Indian tribes and to preserve peace on the frontiers. The act further defined the policy of the government towards the Indians. It provided strict regulation for relations between white settlement and the Indian country, and for the use of the U.S. military forces to make the act effective, because no natural barriers existed and because troops in the outlying army posts, Fort Leavenworth, Fort Gibson, and Townsend, were insufficient to police the border country. Congress was faced with the problem of enlarging the frontier defense and patrol system. Man, that worked, man. He say, I have no doubt that a road from the western bank of the Mississippi to Fort Leavenworth and thence Fort Gibson would be very advantageous to the United States. This is how important this was for the expansion of the U.S. They needed this fort. You know what they was going to get to help them doing? The Indians coming out of the southeast and coming out of the colonies. So when they crossed over the Mississippi, you know what happened? They said, "Oh, these niggas can fight. These niggas do a lot of fighting out here, man. They quick with the gun." He said, cutting down timber for reasonable width, bridging the streams and causeways and marshy places so allow the free movement of troops be allowed will be necessary. Fort Leavenworth, Fort Gibson, the route will pass west of the state Missouri and territory of Arkansas through the lands assigned to immigrating Indians. It will be essentially necessary to the United States should not only possess a respectable force in this quarter, but they should have the means of transporting it freely along the line of communication. And this is coming from the National Register of Historical Places. This is Fort Gibson. Fort Gibson was established in 1824. The original fortification consisted of stockade, square in dimension, with the story-cherry living quarters in 3 sides for 2-story. Planned to accommodate 5 companies in 31 entire infantry was assigned to the station. It became necessary to enlarge the installation. All right, now this fort, it was built by Seminole Indians and slaves. The stone commissary at Fort Gibson is the oldest stone military building now standing in the state of Oklahoma, constructed in 1845. Commissary, 1.5 stone building with gavel roof. And they said it was built by Seminole Indians. These are the records from headquarters records of Fort Gibson, Indian Territory, 1830 to 57. U.S. Army Continental Commands. Headquarters of records of Fort Indian reproduced 6 rolls of microfilm. All right, let's walk. There is a single volume of letters sent and received relating to Indian affairs, April 30, 1840, August 27, 51. The letters are arranged chronologically with the letters interspersed within the letters received. Let's walk. Letters related to the sale of manumission of Indian slaves, the status of Seminole Negroes captured in Florida, requested from whites and free blacks to work and reside among the Cherokee, the explosion of unauthorized purchasing from the Indian country, and other subjects. In addition, the letter volume include copies and receipts of agreements to sale of slaves, passes allowing entry and residence in Indian country, freedom papers for Seminole Negroes. The volume contains an incomplete discrepant contents list. Fort Gibson was originally established at Cantonment Gibson in April 1824, facilitated U.S. Government policy, westward expansion, and Indian Removal Act. All right. In 30, forcibly removed, settled on the lands of West Incorporated Territories, an area that subsequently became known as Indian Territory. The tribes most affected were the Osage, Cherokee Creek, Seminole, and all whom were relocated on land near Fort Gibson in what is now eastern Oklahoma. Man, at Fort Gibson, man, that was one of the forts down there, man. A lot of the Creeks, Cherokees, and Indians in that area of Oklahoma, man, once the mixed race signed with the Confederacy, they came in and tried to wipe out what they called the old Creeks. And a lot of them with Obadiah La Hoya and them, they ended up making their way up into Kansas, joining 1st and 2nd Infantry. And and that was at Fort Gibson. Well, you got Fort Concho, established in 1867 along the banks of the Concho River. Fort Concho was built to protect frontier settlements, patrol and map the vast West Texas region, and quell hostile threats in the area construction for the most part of native limestone. Fort Concho consisted at least of 40 buildings and covered more than 1,600 acres. Fort Concho served as regiment headquarters for some of the most famous frontier units, like the 4th and the 10th Infantry. Fort and the 10th Cavalry. Shout out to the Buffalo Soldiers, man. We in Texas. Fort Concho, man. Yeah, man. Wild, Wild West, man. I'm telling you. Real pistol slangers, man. In the Wild, Wild West, man. One of those soldiers, man, was a brother by the name of George Goldsby. Let's walk. One of the brothers was a brother by the name of George Goldsby. George Goldsby, aka William Scott, was a veteran of the Union Army. He was a sergeant in the 10th U.S. Cavalry of the Buffalo Soldiers. Yes, sir. His involvement in the shooting incident near Fort Concho, Texas, and subsequent disappear credit the aura of the frontier mystery surrounding his name. Goldsby opposed the character in the 19th and 20th century fiction. Scholars remembered him as periodically crossing the racial boundaries, presenting himself at various times as white or black, depending on the circumstance. Let me run that back. Brother George used his light-skinnedness to his advantage, man, depending on who you are. I'm going to play on you. Bitch, I'm white, I'm black, and I'm OJ. I'm white, I'm black, and I'm OJ. Goldsby claimed he was born in Perry County, Alabama, shout out to Alabama. The son of Hester King, a mixed-race woman, and Thornton Boykin Goldsby. Now, notice he got that Boykin name in there, man. When they always got them 3-4 names on there, man, let me tell you. Anyways, because we went through his genealogy, nigga. Hey, plantation owner. Sure. Thornton fathered several children by Hester, although no records to the date to mention her as George's mother or as personally having been enslaved. Whereas employed and hired as a servant with the Confederate Army in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, Goldsby defected to the other side and worked as a civilian teamster for a Union quartermaster. The harsh animosity that greeted black U.S. soldiers in Texas, and particularly the role of civilian town of San Angelo, became the defining moment in Goldsby's life. February 1878, he rallied a group of fellow Indian soldiers and seized Carabine rifles from the company arm rack. From there, they entered into a saloon. You hear me? Niggas went over there and grabbed the guns, nigga. And they busted into a saloon. From there, they entered the saloon and engaged in a gunfight with a group of white cowboys and buffalo hunters. You hear me? Say, man, we not finna do all this motherfucking talking in here, white boy. Nah, nigga, you got life and bullshit fucked up. Say, man, well, check this out. Man, nigga went and they pulled back up. And everything that they told them white boys, they meant. They meant that, man, because when they got back, they executed. The subsequent violence ended the lives of 3 civilians and a soldier. Facing civil and military punishment, Goldsby deserted the army in May 1879. So he ended up leaving the Buffalo Soldiers, man. A lot of racist shit was going on back then with a lot of the scouts, and it was a lot of jealousy, man. That was the cowboy era, man. You gotta keep your posse. Gang, gang, nigga. Man, shout out to BCU out there, man. A lot of big things coming up for BCU, man. One of the most important things that I'm looking forward to in the future, man, is to keep these skills, you know. Man, these summer camps. Yeah, summer camps, man. We actually teaching skills, you know, agriculture. We seen them killing the chicken, man, learn how to snap the chicken neck, plucking the chicken, plucking the feathers, you feel me? We got to get back to that. We losing in that area, man, and we integrate into this society, and yeah, we started amalgamating to this motherfucker, man, and we got to keep that alive. You know, the order. How many of the young ladies out there know how to sew? You feel me? If a button fall off your shirt, who gonna sew it back on? You know, and you know these different things, man. Teach them in the ways of the Indian and about our history, and so you know these type of you know this is what I'm looking forward to for BCU, man, and being able to put this together. So shout out to BCU, man, in a real way. In August 1864, the light-skinned young man enlisted under the name George Goldsby in the 21st Pennsylvania Cavalry as a white unit. Goldsby returned briefly to Selma, Alabama before heading west to Indian Territory. September 1867, he enlisted in the U.S. Army with the 10th Cavalry, an all-black regiment, under his original name. 1874, he married Ellen Beck, an Afro-Cherokee by whom he seared 4 children. The oldest son, Crawford, became known in 1890s as the Outlaw, Cherokee Bill. Big George, man. George Goldsby, man, straight out of Marion Perry County, Alabama. Yeah, he was, yeah, man, we got the whole family on there, his brother and them, Mary and them, all of them. Yep. Wow. Crawford Goldsby, a.k.a. Cherokee Bill, was born February the 8th, 1876 at Fort Concho, Texas. He was the son of George Goldsby, a sergeant in the 10th Cavalry. The story of Buffalo Soldiers, his mother, Ellen, was Cherokee with white and African-American blood. His parents split when he was 7, and she took him to Fort Gibson, Indian Territory. It said that he killed his first man when he was 12. And soon, he was running with a rough crowd. At the youth age of 18, he hooked up with outlaws, Jim and Bill Cook. The rest is history. Cowboy outlaw Crawford Goldsby, aka Cherokee Bill, was very dedicated and loyal to his mother. You know them Indian boys, they love their mama. Them Indian boys, they mama boys. George went in that bitch and shot them white boys up that night, man. He had to skip town, man. He had to get out of Texas. George ended up going into Kansas, man, and married a white woman. George went into Kansas and ended up married a white woman out there, man. Started living as a white boy. He on the run for some wild man type of shit. Nigga disrespected him. He had to go get that out of nigga mouth, man. On real nigga Indian time around his hoe, man. I need that out your mouth. And George got a European family. We'll go through that a little later. Irish niggas, man. Irish and them Indian. Irish love the Indian women. Anyway, Ellen, she was a citizen of Cherokee Nation, goes before her, who was member of the troop of the 10th Cavalry Regiment of the Buffalo Soldiers. He was a future outlaw, was born in Fort Concho, Texas, on February the 8th, 1876. Cherokee Bill, the most famous outlaw in Indian Territory, stood for his portrait at Fort Smith newspaper just before execution on March 17, 1896. Execution made headlines across the country. Whoa. Probably the most famous outlaw that was hanged at Fort Smith gallows was Crawford Cosby, alias Cherokee Bill. He was born on February the 8th, 1776 at Fort Concho, Texas, the son of George Goldsby, a Buffalo soldier of Mexican, white, and Sioux descent. Let me tell y'all something about this here for all them people that be putting that out there. When George came to Indian Territory, he didn't want nobody to know his real name, okay? This nigga here stayed on the run for it. He stayed in some shit. All right, that hoe was short tempered, but he stayed in some shit. He gonna gun your bitch ass down. He was a sergeant in the goddamn Confederate Army. He ain't want nobody to know. He served at Gettysburg and everything. He got over there, goddamn, and so one of the things he started doing, he started telling people, because he was light-skinned, nigga, y'all know that shit, nigga, but what you mix with? And he say, shit, nigga, I'm Mexican, white, and Sioux. What the fuck is you talking about? Shout out to them Sioux Indians, man. And a woman named Ellen Beck, half black, 1/4 Cherokee, 1/4 white, when George Goldsby abandoned his pregnant wife and son 2 years later. Let me tell you something. Let's walk. On September 29th, Goldsby attended the Harvard dance at Fort Gibson to see Maggie Glass. Little Maggie, little fast ass out there. Maggie was precious. And Cherokee Bill, one of the things about him, listen, they love them some Cherokee Bill, man. Little Bill, little pretty boy nigga. He was rough and he was tough and people knew him and goddamn, one of the coldest niggas with that horse out there. I mean, George was his daddy. He was cold. He was a sharpshooter. He was good with the gun. He was cold with the horse. He was straight Cherokee shit. And he was a ladies' man. Showed up at Fort Gibson, goddamn. He had his eyes on the prize, and that night the prize was Maggie Glass, a pretty 15-year-old girl whom he was infatuated with her. You hear me? Bad to the bone. While there, he got into a fight with a nigga named Jake Lewis. Jake liked Maggie too. And he was easily overpowered by the man. Okay? Jake Brown head man. Say, little young nigga, you got life bullshit fucked up. The next morning, Goldsby appeared at Lewis Farm with the intentions of killing him for the embarrassment in front of Maggie. Nigga, the embarrassment, man, he couldn't go. That nigga pulled all night. He didn't go to sleep all night. He didn't go to sleep all night, man. Little Bill went on his push-ups. You hear me? You don't wear enough, little nigga. Bill say, fuck that shit, nigga. Nigga, that's baby. You know what I'm saying? Bill show back up early in the morning at the nigga farm. You hear me? So he show up with the intention of killing him for the embarrassment in front of Maggie. Although Lewis suffered 2 gunshot wounds, he lived to file charges on him. Went over there and got off on Jay. You hear me? Big J. Hurrah! Hurrah! This you got me fucked up. By the time Goldsby had adopted the nickname of Cherokee Bill, the name derived from his Cherokee heritage and his attendance of the Indian school in Cherokee, Kansas. In Cherokee County, the name Bill meant wild hand. You hear me? In Cherokee County, the name Bill meant wild hand. Okay? It meant a nigga that you don't want to fuck with. A bit, yeah, you nigga that come through and he about that shit. He stupid, he crazy. He got that nigga way. He's a shooter. Back then, you call a nigga a Bill. He's a Bill. Today we call him a shooter. Back then, that little nigga was a Bill. And he was a Cherokee. They put it together. You got Cherokee Bill, man. The most boldest and brazen robbery by Cherokee Bill in the Cook gang occurred on Monday morning, July the 30th, 1894, when the gang robbed the Lincoln County Bank in Chandler, Oklahoma territory. Chandler was the county seat of Lincoln County. A few years later, the famous Dodge City, Kansas, lawman Bill Thodman would become sheriff of Lincoln County. At about 10 o'clock on that July morning, 5 heavily armed cowboys rode into town from the northeast. Coming down Mayville Avenue to 7th Street, where they turned and went into the alley. They rode behind Fletcher Hardware store and stopped at the real Lincoln County Bank, where they dismounted. They walked. Jump on that like button if you haven't, goddamn. Go sign up to BCU, man, if you want to support the show. Go jump in that merch shop, goddamn. Go jump in that merch shop, goddamn, and let's walk. After the assault on Jake Lewis, Cherokee Bill began riding with the Cook gang, led by Bill Cook. This group of outlaws terrorized the Cherokee and Creek nations during 1893 and 1894. Their crime started out small with whiskey charges and stealing horses and shit. But it soon led to train robberies, stage holdups, and bank thefts on that wild Indian shit. On July the 31st, 1894, the gang stole $500 from the Lincoln County Bank in Chandler, Oklahoma. On September the 21st, the J.A. Parkinson Company store in Okomogi lost over $600 to them. On October the 10th, the record of bold and desperate deeds was broken when the gang held up and robbed the depot of Missouri Pacific Railroad at Claremore. Less than 2 hours later, they robbed the, let me run that back, man, because I don't think y'all heard me. I say less than 2 hours later, after they did the unthinkable, they robbed the railroad agent at Chatua. 10 days later, it was wrecking and robbing on Kansas City and Missouri Pacific Express 5 miles south of Wagner. And on November the 9th, Cherokee Bill and other 2 gang members held up the store at the post office 15 miles from South Coffeyville, Kansas. Cherokee Bill shot and killed a painter named Ernest Miller, who was watching the heist from a window of a restaurant across the street. Then they get busy, he ended up seeing caught eyes with the nigga, you hear me? Locked eyes with the nigga, and this nigga just looking at everything we got going on in the house. Bill walked over there and smoked him. The ball struck Milton below one eye and came out the back of his head, killing him instantly. It was that crime that Cherokee Bill was hanged for in Fort Smith. But the road to the gallows had several more twists and turns for law enforcement and officials. Bill Cook. growing up to become one of the outlaws or the leaders of the Cook gang. William Bill Tuttle Cook was born near Fort Gibson in 1873 in the Cherokee Nation. Okay? Cherokee Bill running with other Cherokee niggas. He fucking with Little Bill Cook. His name was William, but he was quick with the gun, so they call him Bill. Cherokee shit. Starting out as an honest young man, he served out as a scout for the U.S. Marshals. From Fort Smith, Arkansas, south to Fort Smith, man, some dangerous niggas over there, man. That were Bass Reeves and all them niggas. They had to send his crazy ass up there. That's how hard they was stuck in Arkansas, man, Fort Smith. Guiding them through Indian territory, however, he soon started running whiskey to the Indians. It started being hard to get liquor up there, man. They was blaming the gunfights and the battles and shit on the liquor. But whoa. They started blaming the gunfights and shit on the liquor. In 1893, he was sentenced to 40 days in jail by Isaac Parker. During his incarceration, he would put together an outlaw gang when he was released, and the following year he did. By June 1894, he gathered up his brother Jim Crawford, Cherokee Bill Goldsby, Thurman Skeeter Baldwin, Jess Snyder, William Ferris, Curtis Dawson, Elmer Lucas, they called him Chicken, Jim French, George Sanders, Sam Burgess, the Kid McWilliams, Lon Gordon, and Henry Munson. Going by various names, including the Cherokee Kid, John Williams, and John Mayfield, Bill led the Cook gang to terrorize the Indian Territory by robbing banks, trains, post office, stores, and individuals. And in no time, the Cook gang was pursued by dozens of lawmen who tracked them down one by one. Bill Cook, man, the legendary Bill Cook. Man, Sam Williams, man, a.k.a. the Burgess Kid. Sam Williams, a.k.a. the Burgess Kid, was an outlaw member of the Bill Cook gang who operated in Indian Territory in 1894. Though the Cook gang was short-lived, the gang was ruthless and known to shoot anyone who got in their way. Starting small, the gang first began stealing horses and selling whiskey before they quickly advanced to robbing bank stores and stagecoaches. As the months progressed, most of the members of the gang, including leaders Bill Cook and Cherokee Bill, were killed or arrested. However, Cook gang members Sam McWilliams and George Sanders were still at large. Yeah, man, Sam and George got away. In April 95, Sam Burgess, McWilliams, George Sanders, and Sam Butler rode into Braggs, Oklahoma, ordering everybody to put their motherfucking hands up. And listen, man, I don't fuck around. I ain't finna tell you but once. I make examples. The trio of outlaws quickly marched their prisoners to Madden General Store, where the store clerk panicked and ran into the street. The outlaws shot him down. No, we didn't come to fuck around. As their hostages stood waiting, the thieves robbed the general store and exchanged their clothing and boots for new ones. One of the hostages was sent to bring a horse to the store, exchanging it for one of theirs. Fortunately, the owner of the store was not present, but could see the robbery taking place and quickly reported it to the law officers, one in which the U.S. Deputy Marshal Barbie. When the two officers arrived, they shot the Burgess Kid and Deputy Marshal Barbie opened fire on the rest of the gang. George Sanders was also killed, and Sam Butler, though wounded, escaped. McWilliams was 19 years old. Youngsters, man. Shit, Bill was 18 when he started. I think he was 19 when he died. On July 31st, Deputy U.S. Marshal Scott Hovey An Indian resident of Kellyville got information that the Cook gang was going to meet on Polay Creek in Creek Nation. To be able to relocate to gang, Huffville got most of the famous trackers in the Indian Territory to assist them. Tiger Jack, he was a Ute Indian, a tribe closely aligned with the Creek Indians. He worked with quite a few deputies and U.S. Marshals, including Hick Thomas, in tracking down desperados. Tiger Jack picked up the trail on the gang, but they were too late and the gang got away. On August 9th, Deputy U.S. Marshal James Allen and Thomas Pickett, with one of the Ute Indian members of the Creek Light Horse Police, located the Cook gang with the aid of an Indian posse. Allen and Pickett been hunting the Cook gang since the Red Fork robbery. The gang had been hiding out 14 miles west of Chalupa Creek Nation in the home of Bill Province, the uncle of Henry Munson. It was at 8 a.m. and the gang was outside the home washing up when the posse, about a dozen strong, came in with guns blazing. Yeah, back then they ain't do no talking, man. Dead or alive, you hear me? I'm getting paid. And you probably be worth more dead. Henry Munson was killed. Lon Gordon was severely wounded. Curtin Dawson was captured, and one Indian police was wounded. Cherokee Bill, Bill Cook, Dermot Baldwin, and Buck Snyder were able to escape a close call. Gordon later died from his injuries. Gunshots to the head and lungs after being taken to Sapopa. Cherokee Bill was said that he had irresistible charm and was a sweetheart. Okay? Cherokee Bill was said to have irresistible charm and a sweetheart in nearly every section of the territory. You know why they say that? Because everybody loved this kid. They knew his mama and they knew his daddy. Everybody loved this kid. They watched him grow up. And to them, a lot of them people, he was a killer and he was, bad for the community, but they loved him, especially the people in his generation. When you meet him, you won't forget him. You hear me? When you meet him, they say you won't forget him. And Cherokee Bill was often protected from harm by lawyer friends and violent reputation. Lawmen who pursued him, hearing his deadly rifle accuracy and fast six-shooter action, kept a safe distance, and most times avoiding engaging him in battle. Because he was so good on the terms with the Cherokee Creek and the Seminoles, he moved easily through their villages and lands, something his pursuers could not do. Now, you couldn't just come through there, man. He was in all of the hoods. They loved him in every ghetto project and section. You hear me? He had his ghetto pass was good, universal. Cherokee Bill was one of the two outlaws in front of the bank when J.B. Mitchell started screaming about the bank being held up. Cherokee Bill called him to shut up. When Mitchell tried to stand up from his chair, Cherokee Bill leveled his Winchester rifle and shot the barber at a distance at about 200 yards. Mitchell staggered to feet and fell to the sidewalk near the corner of the barbershop. Mitchell died within minutes of being shot. He was 53 years old and left a wife and two young kids. Should have shut the fuck up. When an outlaw came out the bank, they fired guns wildly in all directions. Get out. When we get out the doors, just start getting off. Yeah, which way the horses? As soon as we just start getting off, nigga. These niggas on the roof, they in the back alleys, all this, get off. No, Warren, a county deputy sheriff, shot Bill Cook horse, and then Cook mounted up behind one of his gang. The gang was vigorously pursued and a posse put together by Sheriff Claude Parker, and a gunfight took place in timber east of town. August the 3rd, 1894, Edmund Sun Democrat said that the gun battle lasted about 15 minutes. You know how long 15-minute gun battle is? And over 200 shots were exchanged. One of the gang, El Malukas, that's Chicken, he was wounded and captured by the posse. The rest of the gang was able to escape into the hills. Lucas was taken back to Chandler, but due to an anger over the death of Mitchell and calls for a lynching, he was transported to the federal jail at Guthrie, capital of the Oklahoma Territory. While he was in custody, Lucas named the other members of the gang. Okay? While he was in custody, you know what he did? Chicken named, he gave up everybody. According to him, they were Cherokee Bill, Bill Cook, Henry Munson, Jack Startos, and Jack Lund Gordon. And under interrogation, Lucas also confessed to his involvement in the train robbery at Red Rock. Later, he was transferred to a federal jail at Fort Smith, Arkansas, where he was indicted for the train robbery and recovered from his wounds. Snitching ass chicken. The third bandit that went into a room in the back of the bank building was F.B. Hoyt. He lay very sick and compelled him to get up, open the safe. Hope came in at the point of a Winchester and made an effort to open the safe, but was so nervous that he did not succeed. Although being wrongly cursed was delayed, having the Winchester snapped in his face once or twice. About this time, shooting commenced on the outside, which so excited the bandits on the inside, they grabbed all the money they could find at the top of the counter, about $300, and they skipped out. They could have got $2,000 by pulling out the teller's drawer just below. As they were leaving, one fellow jerked off in an O.B. Keys watch and put it in his pocket. On the opposite corner, nigga snatched the nigga watch. Opposite corner, Lincoln County Bank, J.B. Mitchell had been conducting the barbershop. He was sitting on the front of his shop and noticed movements of the bandit called out, "The Dalton gang in town, the Dalton gang in town," and got up and started to go in the shop. When the fellow in the front of the bank called him, "Shut up," he shut up and sit down. He did not heed the admission, however, he started to go in the shop. And that's when Bill killed his ass. Sheriff Parker immediately organized the posse and started in pursuit at the edge of town. Another one of his horses was killed. They overtook an old German in the court and took his horses at the court and rode. They also made a man pilot dismount and appropriated his horse. The sheriff and the posse came up to chuck a whole section, and hundreds of shots was fired. One of the bandits was shot and taken prisoner. The other scattered through the woods and were lost to track. The sheriffs and posse, feeling that they had achieved enough glory, for one day they returned home. But check this out. The prisoner captured is a young boy of the typical cowboy order. By age 21 years old, his name was Elmer Lucas. He was shot through the hip. The ball went through his body, making a painful and ugly and not serious fatal wound. He gave up the name of the outlaws. J.B. Stewart, the liver man, said that he remembered that the horse that was killed was put on the stable last Friday. It is evident that they were posted because they knew exactly how to get in the real Lincoln County Bank. Niggas say, "Damn, that horse that you shot, I remember that horse was out here." Yeah, that bitch was out here on the post last Friday. These little badass niggas been putting this shit together the whole time. They walk right into their bank on their ass. In the back door. Man, they walk. One of the gang was seen near Hoffman Charles in Copeland's Bank about an hour before the holdup. A number remember the fellows loafing around last night. I seen them nigga last night at the local bar. He was shooting at some little female in there last night, Sunday. And this morning, one of them purchased 2 or 3 bottles of whiskeys at Reeves Saloon. Yeah, them niggas went in that bitch and got liquored up and came for a firefight. You know, man, you talking about when you really come in there and you really don't care if you finna live or die today. Man, they was trying to get to the bag. Mr. Mitchell, the gentleman shot, was a quiet, unoffensive citizen, aged 33 years. He leaves a wife and 2 daughters in straitened circumstances. The people were very much worked over the affair and in favor of meting out summary justice. All gangs should be captured, as they made direct for their hunts to County Creek and now safely hiding in the canyons and caves of this section. There's little hope of capturing them. And this is a newspaper they read that was on August the 1st, 1894. The startling deeds of demons, the Lincoln County Bank at Chandler looted, a citizen ruthless slain. Sheriff Parker and the posse gives chase, a terrific battle, and an outlaw brought town. Now safe behind bars, a mere boy is, but the others are old timers. Latest job of the notorious Cook gang. Special to the leader, the quiet serenity of the little city was rudely disrupted yesterday morning by a bold bank robbery. About 9 o'clock, 5 horsemen dressed as typical cowboys heavily armored rode into town from the north and the street of the east on the courthouse and turning down the alley Fletcher Hardwell. Came in and got busy. Well, Cherokee days came behind him. Little Cherokee was spending the night, getting high. He started spending the night at different of his lady friends' homes. And one night, this chick he had met, they told him to come through. Well, while he was over there, come to find out that her people now is the police. And yeah, that ended his run. Cherokee tried to fight, but man, he wasn't big enough. He was a little nigga, you know what I'm saying? But let's walk. Up until the days immediately preceding his hanging, Cherokee Bill seemed little concerned with the affair. In fact, he spent most of the time playing poker with the other prisoners, manipulating the cards through the grins of his cell doors. 5 days before the execution, though he accepted religious advice from Father Puce, a German Catholic church in Fort Smith, Cherokee Bill saw the priest every day thereafter. The outlaw woke at 6 on St. Patrick's Day, 1896. He up at crack of dawn, 6 in the morning. He was singing and whistling according to reports from the prisoners. Later that morning and afternoon, his mother, brother, stepsister, and the priest, Amanda Foster, his childhood nurse, came to pay their last visit. Some 2,000 to 3,000 sightseers surrounded the gallows and closed it that day. Newspaper reports said the scene, though not disorderly, was one of the indescribable excitements. People were perched on the stone walls and the roofs of nearby buildings, houses, and sheds. One of the rickety sheds near the gallows collapsed under the weight of this crowd. As the scheduled time execution 2 p.m. approached, Bill announced that he was ready to get it any time. With the force of the 4 guards, his mother, Father Puce, and Amanda Foster accompanied Bill, handcuffed and shackled from the jail to the gallows. At one point, the outlaw reportedly remarked, This is about as good as a day to die as any." Yeah, man. Crawford said he woke up and he feeling good that morning, man. Let's work. He said, "Hey, man, this about as good as a day to die as any, homie." Yep. And once Bill was scaffolded, he eyed the crowd and saw his mother and said, "Mother, you ought not have come up here. No, you shouldn't have came down here now, woman. Get on back down yonder there. You don't need to be out here seeing this." She replied, and you know them Indian sisters. He said, "Carry on down yonder there. You don't need to be seeing this. You ought not come down here for this." And you know that Cherokee, my mom was a Cherokee. You know the Cherokee lady told him the same thing my mom would have told me. She said, "I can go wherever you go." Yeah. Yeah, mama say, "I can go wherever you go." Yeah, you my child. At that time, the death warrant was read and Father Puce recited a short prayer. Bill stepped forward, his head to the trap door, and spoke to the crowd, saying goodbye. All you chums down that way. His arms and legs were tied with a black hood placed over his head. And at 2:13 p.m., he dropped in the fall of 6 feet. Cherokee Bill's neck broke and the death came quickly. 12 minutes later, the ropes bound his limbs were removed as were the handcuffs and shackles. His body was placed in a coffin and taken later that day to Fort Gibson for burial. Crawford Cosby, alias Cherokee Bill. After his death, many people noted the significance of the lucky number 13 in Bill's life. A $1,300 reward was offered for his capture after killing Ernest Milton. His first death sentence was pronounced on April 13th. He killed Larry Keaton on July 26th, 2 times 13. Judge Parker took 13 minutes to charge the jury in Keaton case. The actual hours used to trial number 13. There were 13 witnesses for the prosecution. The jury took 13 minutes to find him guilty, and he fell through the traps of the gallows at 2:13. Black Indian Cowboy of the Wild Wild West by legendary Big Chief Top Cat. Rest in peace, Cherokee Bill. I want to appreciate y'all pulling up, coming to rock with me. Appreciate all y'all support. As long as we got each other, we don't need no motherfucking body else. Hold the line. I love y'all. D! Legendary Big Chief Top Cat. That's my time. This one for the ancestors.
She said, come over. She said, come over. She said, come over. You gotta put it in work, yeah. Yeah. Put it in work, yeah. Baby, I'm on my way. Baby, I'm on my way. I'm gonna put it in work, yeah. She said, you don't know what you me. The way you make me feel can be explained. See, it seems that's another love that be between us can be explained. See, when I hit that spot, I know where to go. Hit the stop button when you say so. And baby, get ready, let the love juice drop. I want you to hang on when you want me to stop. Stop, she said, come over there, put that work, come over, come over, come put that work, say, come over, and put that work, come over, come over, put that work, say, come over, and put that work, come over, come over, put that work, say, come over, and put that work, come over, come over, put that work, say, you know, baby, I'm on my way. I'm gonna put it in work, yeah. Oh, I'm gonna put it in work, yeah. Oh, said you don't know me. The way you make me feel can be explained. See, it seems that's another love that be between us can be explained. See, when I hit that spot, I know where to go. I hit the stop button when you say so. And baby, get ready, let the love juice drop. I want you to hang on when you want me to stop.